When you're choosing a Royal Caribbean cruise ship to sail on, you might be picking it for the wrong reasons. In fact, I see this all the time from people that are really drawn in by certain marketing aspects that Royal Caribbean has, but in reality, it really isn't what they're looking for in a cruise, and it's one of the mistakes, I think, that new cruisers make when choosing a cruise. Certainly when you watch a Royal Caribbean cruise commercial on TV, or you see a video here on YouTube, wherever you get this idea like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to go on a cruise? In many cases, there's a lot of aspects of the cruise vacation that's highlighted that may not appeal to you. And it's important to choose the right ship that's based on your preferences. Why is this important? Because money. Yeah, at the end of the day, you don't want to overpay for something you're not going to do. If you're like me, you have certain things that you like to do on a cruise. And if you've never cruised before, well, there's just certain ways you like to vacation. And there are certainly some things that look really cool. Let's use the Flowrider Surf Simulator as a great example of that. I've seen plenty of commercials in which the Flowrider is prominently featured. People smiling, learning to surf. Yeah, I would like to learn to surf, I guess, except I have no coordination. And to be perfectly honest with you, I really haven't had much of an impetus ever to learn to surf. I've never done it on land to go, hey, I'm going to go get surfing lessons. And even on all my cruises I've ever gone on, I've never had the gumption to go down there and give it a try. And this kind of reminded me of an important lesson, is that you want to choose your cruise ship based on what is important to you. And when it comes to choosing that, if you're picking a ship that has a lot of cool features that you're not actually going to use, then it might not be a great choice for you. So if you're looking for water slides, right? Well, if that's really important to you, then skip the Vision class because they don't have any. If you want a full Broadway show, well, then don't sail on Freedom of the Seas because Freedom doesn't have a full Broadway show. If you have young toddlers under 36 months old, well, then don't sail on Explorer of the Seas because it does not have a nursery on board. It's really important to recognize you don't have to book the ship that has the most to do on board just because it has everything. You may find a great choice in other ships too because it has just what you need. So if you're new to cruising, how do you figure that out? Well, I would look at a cruise vacation and kind of figure out, why are you attracted to a cruise? Is it the price? Is it the places you're visiting? Is it maybe the people you're going with? There's usually a pull. For some people, it's the destination. I want to go to Greece. I want to go to Alaska. I want to go spend a week in the Caribbean. And if those are your drawing factors, the number one reason you probably are leaning towards a cruise, well, then you're going to want to spend more time in the places you're going than on board the ship. And in that situation, you might say, well, then maybe I don't need a ship with all the bells and whistles because I'm booking this cruise to go to these places. And as a result of that, maybe you skip a Quantum class ship in Alaska, or you skip an Oasis class ship in the Caribbean, and instead go on a smaller ship, which, by the way, is going to save you a ton of money. These days, the pricing for cruises has really gone up, especially in 2023. We're seeing easily a 30% jump in prices compared to what they used to be. And along those lines, you're probably going to want to find ways to save some money because you don't want to pay top dollar necessarily. And while Icon of the Seas and Wonder of the Seas and Odyssey of the Seas all are absolutely wonderful cruises to go on, the reality is, if those things and bells and whistles that you're paying for, or just the fact that you're going on a new ship, isn't important to you, well, then you could save a lot more money by going on an older ship. Older Royal Caribbean cruise ships, I'm not talking about like ancient ships, I'm just talking about ships that have been around a little bit, usually have a much lower price than newer ships. Royal Caribbean charges a premium to go on its newest ships. This is part of the appeal of it because there's higher demand. People see the commercials, they've read reviews, they've got word of mouth, and they think, okay, well, this sounds like a really cool ship to go on. I got to try it out. I want to get it under my belt. And as a result, that drives up a lot of demand and that drives up prices, and you get basically a cruise that's going to cost you a lot more money. But if you go on Mariner of the Seas, if you go on Brilliance of the Seas, if you go on Liberty of the Seas, you could save a lot of money on a very comparable cruise, and it's still fun. One of the big concerns people have with going on an older ship is they're worried that it's going to feel dated, it's going to feel dilapidated, and it's just going to be a bad experience. Basically, they're going to have serious FOMO when they get on board the ship. Now, first and foremost, I would say, well, again, why are you taking the cruise? What is drawing you to it? Is it the destination? Is it a certain amenity because you're taking your kids and they really want to do water slides? Is it perhaps the price and you're saying you want an affordable family vacation? Depending on which factor is important to you, you can certainly find that with some of the other ships in the fleet. And maybe, by the way, you'll end up saying, well, I actually do want the newest ship. It is important to me to go on a new ship, or I need a ship that has the latest dining innovations on board, right? Because that's appealing to you. Then yeah, then you are picking the right ship by paying attention to what the commercials are showing to you. But this is a very much a personal decision. And there's a lot of people who swear by existing ships that have been out there and around the fleet. We recently talked about Grandeur this season, one of our videos, and how we heard so many negative reviews about it. And that got us thinking, well, is it as bad as people say? And after sailing on Grandeur of the Seas, our team reported, no, it really wasn't. It delivered on that core cruise experience that everybody looks for. And if you're okay with the fact that it doesn't have water slides, or it doesn't have a ton of specialty dining options, or tons of fun activities for the kids on board, there's still enough to keep you busy. And for the price, it's really not that bad. So part of this also is about expectations. And when you talk about the ship you're picking, you're talking about the expectations that you're looking for in the cruise. And the more you cruise, the easier it is to set those expectations. But as a new cruiser or somebody who's still kind of getting their feet wet, you might want to actually write down what are the most important things. I know this sounds trivial, to actually stop and write things down. But if you come up with a list of 3 or 4 things that you absolutely want to have on a cruise, that may greatly narrow down your search and make the decision a heck of a lot easier and possibly save some money along the way. Now, there is a propensity for a mistake with this kind of thought pattern, and that is to chase the lowest price. You might say, well, Matt, I love to do all these cool things, but the number one thing that's important to me is an affordable vacation, which is maybe code for I want the cheapest vacation out there. And it's very tempting to chase the lowest price. Look for the lowest deal that's out there because that gets you out on a cruise ship. And you think to yourself, well, Matt just said it, right? You can go on Grandeur of the Seas, an old ship, and there's still plenty to do. How bad could it be? This goes back to expectations and what's important to you. While certainly you don't want to pay top dollar, you also don't want to have a disappointing experience because the ship doesn't have what you're looking for. There are a great variety of activities, things to do, cabin choices, and itineraries across Royal Caribbean's cruise ships out there. And price alone isn't enough of a factor to dictate which one to go on. As an example, you may end up picking a cabin that has an obstructed view because you picked a guaranteed cabin, or you picked a ship that doesn't have a specific feature that we're talking about that's important to you. Again, it's one of the biggest regrets I hear about is people that they wish they knew beforehand that their ship had or didn't have a certain feature or thing to do. While how much a cruise costs is going to be important to a lot of people, it should not be the primary consideration. At the end of the day, when it comes to picking a cruise, look for a ship that offers the fun things to do you absolutely want to have on a ship, sails to the places that you want to go to, and is not compromising too badly on other things all around. There is not necessarily a perfect ship, and don't chase the newest ship in the fleet purely because you think it will have everything, because it doesn't. And I think you'll probably come to a reasonable conclusion as to which ship to go on. Everybody has a budget and what they want to get out of it, but paying a little bit more or less, depending on what you're looking for in your vacation, can really make a wealth of difference when it comes to choosing the right ship for you. So don't just watch TV commercials and don't chase the cheapest price out there. Figure out what's important to you and pick a ship based on that. Let me know in the comments below, what are your lessons learned from picking a cruise ship in the past, and how do you approach picking the right ship for you going forward? Let me know in the comments below. While you're below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. We'll talk again real soon.